Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another new week. Please kindly confirm you can see my screen and you can hear my voice clearly by typing hi in the comment section so that we can be on the same page and get this session started. I'm having okay, Pedros. Hi, good morning. The Great, good morning. Hey, Scott Benji, good morning. How are you today? Geopoker, good morning to you. Glad to have you around. I guess you're new on board because this is the first time I will be saying that username. So I should take this as a confirmation that you can see my screen and you can hear my voice clearly. Okay. So let's get the session started. All right. 858 329 and 209. Good morning to you all. And I want to welcome you to yet another promising session of Extreme Speed Live, hosted by my humble self, Sharif Daramola. As usual, I will be taking you on a trading journey where we shall be evaluating the financial market using technical parameters such as reversal patterns, trend line identification of trend line continuation patterns, market structures, and the likes to identify trading opportunities lining up for us this week. Peculiar with our Monday sessions, what we normally do on Monday morning like this is to, well, we will look at the the major commodities we use to trade, that is the US tech and the US oil. Then we'll go on to choose random major pairs that we want to be deliberating on for today. So without further ado, let's dive into the chat and let's see what is happening. Yes, before I forget, if you have any pair you want us to look at or you want us to deliberate on today or for the week, feel free to drop it in the comment section where I will be trying as much as possible to inculcate it into my plans for today. So feel free, if you have any pairs, any commodities you want us to look at, just drop it in the comment section and I will check it out and add it to my plans for today. So that is that. And please, I also want to take an excuse for my voice. I'm not sure how that is sounding over there. I'm having a flu. It's a cold, chilly weather here, and it has been affecting my voice in the last couple of days. So I hope you bear with me. And if I sniff, I hope it doesn't affect your listening apparatus. So let's dive into the chat and let's see what is happening. Well, the first commodity I want us to be looking at this morning is the US oil because I think we begin to have a setup lining up here on the US oil. But before I go further, I want us to look at what is happening on the daily time frame and let's see what is going on, after which we are going to be identifying trading opportunities that we might be able to take during the New York session today. Well, on the daily time frame, the US oil has been on a very strong long-term bullish momentum. I think in the last couple of years, price has continually respected this bullish trend line that I was able to identify on the daily time frame after connecting the series of higher lows here. As you can see, our price has consistently respected that bullish trend line. However, if we go further, fast forward into the present moment, probably a time frame of about let's say 4 to 5, 6 weeks thereabout, we can see that this trend line as well has been rejected multiple times during this period of 6 weeks, as we can see how the buyers are trying to make a statement by holding on to the bullish trend line around this point. So since last week, we have been expecting a bullish momentum on this pair. Since last week, as we can see how price has continuously respected that bullish trend line here, and the appearance of this multiple rejection by the buyers is something we need to reckon with. And another thing I was able to do on the daily time frame was to identify this $85 level. We can see how this level has been a major determinant of price action in the past. You can see what happened here between the month of October, I think the later part of October stroke the first week of the month of November 2021. We can see how this level, the $85 mark, has been a selling niche for participants in the market. You can see how that level has consistently been rejected by the sellers at this point before we saw that engulfing move to the downside. Now, that same level was broken during the early, I think sometime in the month of January this year. We saw a breakout retest of that level that took price to as far as the $129.50 area. So we saw a breakout retest of that level here, and right now price is back within that zone, hereby fortifying a possible bullish momentum on the US oil. So now going into the new week, there are two scenarios we want to be looking at. And the first scenario is how we're going to be having a trend continuation to the upside from this point. That is, price respects that bullish trend line one more time to push price to the upside, or are we going to be witnessing a significant breakdown of the $85 key level, which we identified here, after which a retest of structure will give us further confirmation to join the decline. So these are the two scenarios I want us to be looking at for this week. So to plan against the new week, what do we need to do now is to scale down to a much lower time frame, and let's see what is happening. So in this regard, we will be going down to the 4 hours time frame so that we can see what has been happening in the last couple of months. Now, when we zoom into what has been happening since mid-June, we can see that price has been on a downtrend scenario, hereby collapsing into the bullish trend line we identified on the daily time frame. So we were able to identify this bearish trend line after connecting the series of lower highs here. We identified this bearish trend line, and something interesting happened during the last week of the month of August. We saw a significant breakout of that bearish trend line to give us a signal that a bullish momentum is likely going to be coming in. So with the citation of this breakout of this bearish trend line here, let's zoom in so that we can see what we're talking about here. So with the citation of this breakout of this bearish trend line rather, from a technical standpoint, whenever we cite such breakouts, it could be a breakout or a breakdown of a trend line. If we cite something like this, we expect that price will come back to do a retest of that breakout to give us further confirmation to join the price movement in the direction of the in the opposite direction of the proud leading price action. So now that we have price come back to do a retest of that bearish trend line here, remember it was broken here in the month of August. I think on the 23rd of August it was broken, and then price is back on that trend line on the first day of this month. And what do we see after the touch of that trend line? We saw price go to as far as the $89 level, rejected the $89 level, and came back into the $86.50 area. Price was unable to go as low as the previous low, giving us a clue into an evolution into a double bottom structure, which from a technical standpoint is a strong reversal pattern on a higher time frame. So right now, is this structure going to evolve into a double bottom structure? That is the question we want to be asking this week. How are we going to be seeing a double bottom structure here that would confirm a reversal pattern at this point in the market? So let's see things let's see things more clearly. So in that regard, whenever we see something like a double bottom structure like this after a very strong impulsive move, we saw a strong impulsive move since the beginning of last week to the downside here. We saw the first touch, price came into this area. We saw the second touch, which is a higher low. And like I said, when we cite such setup like this, the next thing we want to be doing is to identify the neckline of that structure, which will be our yardstick for taking advantage of that reversal pattern. So because of this, I was able to identify the $89 level as a yardstick, as a neckline of the double bottom structure here. And this $89 level will be our guide, our yardstick, and a parameter that we want to be using to guide our trading activities for this week. So what this simply states here is this: we want to see price break out of this neckline to give us that signal. And if you look closely into that breakout of that structure, you can see that the bullish trend line we identified on the daily time frame, this black line here, we can see this black line here, that's the bullish trend line we identified on the daily time frame. So if we see a breakout of the neckline here at $89 level, you can see that the breakout will also share a confluence with that bullish trend line. So what this does is this: once a breakout of that structure happens, it confirms that price is right back on the top of that bullish trend line. So if this happened, remember, we don't want to get too excited at the sight of this signal. We want to wait for further confirmation in the form of a retest of structure. So the retest could either come in form of touching the $89 level or probably touching the bullish trend line here. But the most important thing we want to be looking out for is a double bottom structure. It could be a reversal pattern. It could be your head and shoulder pattern. It could be your falling wedge, whatever reversal pattern it is that supports a trend continuation to the upside. Then we want to be joining that rally from that point. So this is how we want to trade the US oil for the week. So what we are waiting for right now is a signal, and that signal should come in form of the breakout of this $89 level. So when we sight at a breakout of the 89 level, we should sharpen our tools to get ready to join the potential rally after price comes back to do a retest of structure. So for the sake of clarity, the retest of the structure could likely come on our lower time frame. So once a breakout of structure happens like this, we want to scale down to the lower time frame to look out for patterns that supports a trend continuation so that we can join the rally very early. That is that. So now I want to see how participants has been responding to this area since the beginning of the week. So let's look at what has been happening since the beginning of the week here. So since the beginning of the week, we saw our price started from the $87.30 area. So price started from somewhere around here. And since then, we've been seeing this engulfing candle that took price right to the $88.50 area. We saw something like a consolidation phase here. Then we saw a breakout of that area at the $88.50. So since the beginning of the week, we have been witnessing bullish momentum, giving us a clue into how participants are thinking at this point in time. However, from a technical perspective, we want to be patient enough to wait for the breakout of that structure, after which a retest of that level at $89 area will give us a confirmation to join the rally. So that is what we are looking forward to here on the US oil. If you have any question whatsoever, feel free to drop a word or two in the comment section and I will be willing to be of help. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to run through the chat and see if there are any inquiries regarding what I just discussed so far, or you have any pairs you want us to look at today. So what is happening in the comment section? So let's see. Nina, okay, good morning. Super Mario, how are you? Karima 88, Salamu alaikum. All right, peace be unto you too. I want to learn. All right, you're on the right space. Just be patient enough to follow through what we're talking about. Initially, you might not understand what we are talking about, but I would advise that you take some time out to continue to be part of us every day. And I assure you, with time, you will get to understand what we are talking about on this forum. So what we simply do here is to come here on a daily basis in preparation for the New York session. We want to look out for trading opportunities that we can take advantage of during the New York session on a daily basis. So we look out for advantages, we look out for opportunities, we share it here, and the subsequent days we come here to evaluate, revisit the space, monitor the space, and see how well the space are doing on a daily basis. So this is simply what we do here. So for you to understand, always try to drop in every day to be part of the session. So Omote Kite, okay, thanks, okay. Ramon 85, really good morning. I can see you're very happy today, Ramona. Good morning to you. Trust you had a wonderful weekend. Ashitaka, hi, how are you? Good morning. How are you doing today and how was your weekend? All right. So, in the absence of no question, I guess we move on to the next pair. And the next pair we are going to be looking at is the US Tech. So, on the US Tech, what do we have here on the US Tech? Remember, we were able to take over, I think, over 1,400 pips on the US Tech since in the last couple of weeks. In the last 2 weeks, we were able to take over 1,400 pips as we took the ride from the 12,500 area. Is it 13,500? Yes. We started from somewhere around here and we took the move. Hold on a second. We started from somewhere around here and we took the move right down into where we had at this point in time. Now, for those who had missed our analysis, our previous analysis on this pair, it's appropriate that we scale up into the daily time frame, into the higher time frame, to look at the structure we have and how we got to the point we are right now. So scaling up to the daily time frame, what do we have here? So on the daily time frame, the first thing you will observe on the daily time frame is that we are on a very strong bearish momentum since the beginning of the year, and this is evident when we were able to connect the series of lower highs here to identify this resultant bearish trend line that we have been taking advantage of. So with the identification of this bearish trend line, the next thing we will observe is that since the beginning of the month of June, we have seen our price as consistently found higher highs and higher lows, hereby transposing into an ascending channel. You can see what I'm talking about here. Price has consistently find higher highs and higher lows, transposing into an ascending channel that has been respected in the last how long is that? I think 8 weeks thereabout. And we saw the scenario where price came right above that bearish trend line here, and then it broke down the bearish trend line and we were able to take advantage of this trend continuation to this point. So at this point in time, the next thing we will notice here is that after this reversal pattern was sighted here, we had this reversal pattern here right at the demand zone here. Price came to touch the $12,000 mark. We saw a higher low, and then we saw a breakout retest of the neckline of that reversal pattern to push price to the upside. So we have a neckline sitting around the $12,000 area, which is a key level that is going to be guiding our action for this week. So from a technical standpoint, when we see a breakout of structure like this, we expect price to come back to do a retest of the structure, hereby giving us patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation in the prior leading direction. So right now, price has rejected the neckline at the $12,000 area a couple of times. I think we saw the first rejection on the 1st of September. We saw the second one on the 2nd, and we saw the third one on the 4th here. And right now we are right within this area. So going into the new week now, we have two scenarios we want to be looking forward to. Is this breakdown of the channel here? Remember, we had the breakdown of this ascending channel. Is this breakdown going to be a false breakout in such a way that price will respect this neckline and such a way that price climbs back up into the ascending channel to send price going to the upside? That is the first scenario we want to be looking at. Or are we going to be seeing price break down the neckline here at the $12,000 mark to give us a signal of a bearish momentum, confirming that price has actually broken out of the ascending channel, then a retest of structure, which could be the retest of this neckline or the retest of the ascending channel that was broken, to give us a confirmation of a trend continuation to the downside. So these are the scenarios we want to be looking forward to. The first one is a buy opportunity in such a way that price respects the neckline to the upside, or price is going to break down the neckline. So to get things more clearly at this point, the next thing I did was to scale down to the, is it the 4 hours time frame? Yes, okay, on the 4 hours time frame. So going to the 4 hours time frame here and looking at the impulsive move that started mid-August, we saw this impulsive move to the downside from here. And as soon as price came into the $12,000 mark, which appears to be the neckline we saw multiple rejection of this level. We saw the first rejection here. We saw the second rejection. And we have this move. Hold on a second. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So we have this touch. Then price came back to the $12,400 level. And then we saw price come back into somewhere around the neckline, though it didn't get to as far as the neckline, it didn't get to as far as the previous low. So we saw price come back to do a rejection of this neckline. And what I'm looking forward to is this. Will this rejection turn out to be a reversal pattern where we have a breakout of this 12,400 level to give us a double bottom structure, after which a retest of the neckline will give us further confirmation to join the rally to the upside? So this is what I'm waiting for in the new week. So we have a level here. We have multiple rejection by the buyers here at the $12,000 area. So I'm looking forward to a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure after a breakout of $12,400 area. Remember, a reversal pattern is not yet formed until we see a breakout of the 12,400 area. So right now the 12,400 area is a key level. Sorry, it's the neckline of the proposed double bottom structure here. So if a breakout of this level happens, then we want to be looking forward to a bullish momentum. However, if at any point in time during the week price breaks down the neckline area here, that is, price breaks down the neckline at the $12,000 mark, then we want to be seeing this as a signal that a bearish momentum is imminent. So if this signal happens, remember, we don't want to get too excited at the sight of the signal. We want to wait for price to give us a confirmation, which is likely going to come in form of a retest of either this neckline at the $12,000 mark, or price will come to as far as the 12,400 area, which also shares a confluence with the support level of the ascending channel here, where we will be looking out for patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the downside. So these are the scenarios we want to be looking forward to. So right now, the next question you will be asking is this: okay, if we are going to be having a bullish momentum on the US tech, are we going to wait for the whole 300 pips to happen before we can actually trade the US tech? Well, that's the right question. So are we going to be waiting for price to come all the way to break out the 12,400 before we can actually take advantage of that bullish momentum? So that's the good question. So now we want to look at what is happening here that is since the beginning of the week. We want to see what is happening around this area. If it will welcome the opportunity to take advantage of a bullish momentum, it makes more sense to join the rally very early. And then if we have a breakout retest of structure, we can be adding more position right above the 12,400 area. So what I want to be doing now to see what is happening here is to scale down to a much lower time frame, and in that regard we'll go down to the 1 hour time frame. So on the 1 hour time frame, we want to see what has been happening since the beginning of the week. What has participants in this market have been doing? What have they been doing since the beginning of the week? So right now, when we scale down to the 1 hour time frame, we will notice that price has been consolidating right around the $12,150 level and the $12,050 area. So we can see how this consolidation phase has been going on since the beginning of the week. So what we want to take from this is that we are caught up in a consolidation phase right now. That's number one. Then number two, this consolidation phase is giving us a clue into the indecision that has gripped the market at this point in time. So right now, participants are actually waiting for a signal or a catalyst that will push price either way. So now there are two scenarios that could happen here. That is, we could have a breakdown, which could lead to a breakdown of the neckline, which we saw earlier. A retest of structure to send price going to the downside. That is one scenario. And then the other scenario is if we are going to be seeing a breakout of this channel to the upside, and then if that happens, then we want to be seeing this as a bullish signal. Then we wait for price to give us a confirmation in the form of a retest of that structure, after which we look out for patterns on lower time frame to join the rally to the upside. So these are the two scenarios we want to be looking forward to this week. So you will agree that at this point, patience is required so that we can see and identify that move before we join any opportunity on the US tech. Now, in addition to what I have explained so far, from a technical standpoint, we will agree that the structure we have presently looks more like a bearish rectangular pattern, something like this. And when we cite a bearish rectangular pattern like this, we actually expect that a bearish momentum will happen. So that's from a technical standpoint anyway. But if that happens, remember, we're not getting too excited. We want to wait for confirmations to happen in the form of a retest of structure before we join the decline. So that is that on the US tech. So if a breakdown happens, we look forward to taking advantage of a selling momentum as a retest of structure. And if price breaks above this level, which I think is going to happen, then a retest of structure will give us a confirmation to join the rally. So if the rally happens, where will our take profit target be? I will suggest that we move our take profit target to somewhere around the $12,500 area, which will be dovetailing to, let's say, about 350 to 400 pips to catch around this point. And after that, if we now see a breakout of this neckline at the $12,400 area, then a retest of the neckline should give us another opportunity to add more position to our existing buy trade. So this is what we are looking forward to on the US tech. If you have any question on this one, feel free to drop a word or two in the comment section, and I will be willing to be of help in that regard. So that's down the US tech. Any question whatsoever? Let's look into the chat and let's see what is happening. If you okay, Vincent, hello. Okay, Medita says thanks. All right. Okay, glad you're fine, Scott Benji. 105, thank you for your live room class. Oh, you're welcome. 855, cool. All right. Okay, so in the absence of no question, I guess we have to move on to the next pair. So after taking these two commodities, the next pair we're going to be looking at is, we're going to be taking random pairs right now from the major pairs. And let's see what we have. I have a bunch of pairs anyway, but because of time, we might not be taking more than 2 or 3 on this one. So let's see which pair we want to be taking. And okay. So let's go for the USD JPY. Then after the USD, I'll take the GBP card. Then we close with Euro USD. So now, moving to the USD JPY, what do we have here on the USD JPY? Remember, we were able to take some profit here on the USD JPY. I think we took about 200 pips on the USD JPY last week. I think we took this move from somewhere around here into as far as this area. I think we took about 140 pips on the USD JPY. Yeah. And right now, how do we intend to trade the USD JPY this week? So let's scale up to the daily time frame. So let's see what is happening on from a higher perspective. After which we're going to use what we see here as a guide for the week. Well, on the daily time frame, very obvious we are on a long-term bullish momentum. We have a bullish trend line after connecting the series of higher lows since the beginning of the year to emphasize the bullish trend we have here on the USD JPY. And one thing we were able to do, hold on a second, I want to delete this so that we can have a clean chart to, okay, so I think it's good right now. Okay, so we have the setup here on the daily time frame. So I was able to zoom into the structure between the month of June and now. And when we look at that structure here, we can see this impulsive move to the downside here, which resulted to a double bottom structure. A reversal pattern happened right on the bullish trend line. That's a very good and strong sign of a bullish momentum. We saw a breakout of that structure, a breakout of the neckline at the 135 Japanese yen area, and since then price has continued to find higher highs. So one thing you will notice here is this: after the breakout of this neckline here, that was on the 18th of August, we saw the breakout of this neckline. Price is yet to come back to do a retest of this neckline. So when is that going to happen? We don't know. Is it going to happen this week? That's a big question we want to be asking ourselves. Are we going to be seeing an attempt to retest that neckline, which also shares a confluence with the bullish trend line we identified on the daily time frame to incite a trend continuation to the upside? So this is what we want to be looking at this week. Is price going to come back into this 135 area? That is one thing we want to be looking at. So now we scale down to a much lower time frame. Let's scale down to the 4 hours time frame here. And on the 4 hours time frame, I was able to discover a couple of levels that I want to be using to guide our action this week. Now, the first level I was able to identify was around the 137.500 level. And the reason why this was identified was simply because I saw attempts by the sellers to push price to the downside during the early part of last week. So the early part of the previous week before the last week, we saw an attempt by the sellers to push price to the downside from this level, but was met with stiff resistance by the buyers at this point to push price to the upside. So we saw stiff resistance by the buyers from here, and then we saw a final breakout of that structure to the upside. Then what happened during the early part of last week's session? We saw another attempt by the sellers to push price to the downside from here, the 139 level. We saw multiple attempts, but this was met with stiff resistance by the buyers as well, as we saw price breakout of that structure during the later part of last trading session, did a retest of that structure to push price to as far as the 140.800 area. And one thing we observed since price tested this level was that we've been seeing multiple rejection again as we head into this week. So now, like I said, are we going to be having a bearish momentum this week where I want to see price come back into the 139 area, and there are a couple of things that could happen on these levels too as well. We could see rejection by buyers here to push price to the upside, considering the long-term bullish momentum on this one, or we could see a breakdown of the 139 area. Let me show you what I'm talking about. A breakdown, retest to send price going to the downside. Then on the 137.500 level, are we going to be seeing multiple rejection by buyers to push price to the upside, or is price going to be going to the downside, break down this level, break it down to go as far as the neckline which we identified on the higher time frame, which also shares a confluence with the bullish trend line we identified on the daily time frame. So these are the things I want to be looking forward to this week. So in order to look out for trading opportunities lining up for us this week, I was able to scale down to the 1 hour time frame where we'll begin to see things very, very clearly. And right now we are on the 1 hour time frame, and the first thing we observe here on the 1 hour time frame is this temporary bullish trend line after connecting the series of higher lows. Here we can see, and right now is this trend line going to hold price again to push price to the upside? Are we going to be having multiple rejection of this bullish trend line one more time to push price to the upside, or are we going to be having a breakdown of this trend line to send price crashing to the downside? So to make our job easier for this week, I was able to identify a parameter to guide our action, and that is around the 140 and the 140.300 level. So what I want to be saying here, what this level is going to be doing is to guide our action. So if we see a breakdown retest of this level, that is a breakdown retest, price breaks down this level, which also breaks down the bullish trend line as well, retest of this level, then we look out for patterns on lower time frame to join the decline. But if price continues to reject this level, then we want to be seeing this as a bullish signal, respecting that bullish trend line one more time to push price to the upside. So what has been happening since the beginning of the week? We can see what has been happening. We have been caught within a consolidation phase right now. Price has been consolidating between the $140 550 level and the $140 area, and we have a scenario like this. So we are still within a consolidation phase. We are still yet to get a clear direction of where price might be heading this week. So what I'll be suggesting is that we should remain patient and see how these areas are going to hold price action. So remember, we saw a sharp rejection here of the 140.800 level during the course of last week trading session, and price is yet to come back into that level. So since that touch of 140.800 area, we have been seeing lower highs, which is tending towards a bearish momentum for the week. So let's see how price plays out this week. Let's see how price plays out in the next couple of hours to see if we are going to be having a breakdown of the 140.300, or price is going to reject the 140.300 area to push price to the upside. So now another thing we want to do here is this: if price does not come back into the 140.300 area at all going forward, and then we see a breakout of the 140.800 area like this, then we want to be seeing this as a bullish signal. And then if this happens, remember, we don't want to get too excited at the sight of the signal. We want to wait for confirmations to happen in the form of a retest of structure. It could be the retest of the 140.800 area, or price could come as far as the 140.300 area to give us an opportunity to join the trend continuation to the upside. So on the USD JPY, we have this scenario to look out for. Let's see how price plays out in the next 24 hours on this one. So I think we are prepared enough to take advantage of any potential opportunity that lines up during the New York session today. So like I said, if we have the parameter at the 140.300 area to guide our action going forward. If price breaks down that level, we want to be looking for selling opportunities, and if price respects that level to the upside, then we want to be looking for buy opportunities on the USD JPY. So that is that on the USD JPY. If you have any question, feel free to drop a word or two in the comment section, and let's see how I can be of help. So moving on, let's talk about the GBP card. So the GBP card for the week, I'm expecting a bullish momentum on the GBP card, and the reason why that is, I'll be sharing with you in a moment. Despite the fact that we are on a very strong bearish momentum here on the GBP card, look at what is happening on the daily time frame here. After connecting this series of lower highs since the month of May, we can see our price has consistently respected the structure to emphasize this bearish momentum on the GBP card. However, going into the new week, what is going to be our plans? Well, on the daily time frame here, I was able to identify the 1.52700 area as a key level. We can see how this level was rejected by the buyers before it was broken to the downside, and then we saw multiple rejection by the sellers to push price to as far as the 1.50500 area. So now going into the new week, what is going to be our plan? Well, the reason why I'm looking at a bullish momentum is this. If we look at what happened since the beginning of the week, hold on a second, let me show you. We saw this impulsive move during the later part of last week's trading session that took price from the 1.52700 level right into somewhere around here at around the 1.5100 area, and between Friday and this month and Monday morning, we saw a gap where price dropped to 1.50500 area. We saw a rejection of that level. We saw bullish momentum since the beginning of the week into the 1.5100 area. Price came back again into the 1.5050 area, rejected it one more time, and then we had a breakout of the 1.5100 level at this point. Now, if I ask you what this is evolved to, you should be able to tell me very quickly that we have something like a double bottom structure, which from a technical perspective is a very strong reversal pattern. So we had the first touch here, price came into our neckline at the 1.5100 level, did a sharp rejection of this area, and we saw a breakout of that structure. So now that we have a breakout of that structure, we expect a confirmation to happen in the form of a retest of the structure, where we look out for patterns on lower time frame to join the rally to the upside. So this is what I'm looking forward to on the GBP card for the week. And to make our job easier, what I want to do now is to identify the neckline of this double bottom structure. And to do that, we bring out our line chart and then we connect these points together. And if we do that, what do we have here? We have a neckline sitting at around the 1.5100 area. So let's label this point for the sake of clarity. So we have the 1.5100 level, which is our neckline going forward, and also is going to be our yardstick for the week. So we want to continue to see price oscillate right above this level to be comfortable in a bullish position on the GBP card. And so with the identification of this neckline now, what we want to look for is this. If you had missed this move, that is this move to the upside, then you want to wait for price to come back to give us further confirmation to join the rally to the upside. So now that we've identified a buy entry zone for our trade on the GBP card, where will our take profit target be? Well, if we look at the structure we have here and go as far as what happened during the course of last week's trading session, remember I shared with you on the daily time frame the key level at the 1.52700 area, which has been a major determinant of price action in the past. Look at how this area has been a demand niche in the past. We can see how this area has been a demand area, after which we saw the breakdown of that structure on the 26th of August. And then what happened afterwards? Price came back to do a retest of that level to push price to the downside. So we want our take profit target to be somewhere around this area at this point, as we want to see how price is going to relate with this level. So are we going to be having a rejection of this level one more time from this point to send price going to the downside, or are we going to be having a breakout of that level, retest to send price going to the upside? So time will tell in that regard. So let's see how price action plays out in the next couple of days on this one. So a bullish momentum has been identified here. So let's be on standby to take advantage of that move. If you had missed that breakout of structure, then we wait for price to come back into the 1.5100 level to join the potential rally. So this is what we are looking forward to. Let's see how the market goes on from here, and we come back here tomorrow to look at how well this trade has done. So if you have questions regarding GP card we just explained so far, feel free to drop a word or two in the comment section, and I'll try as possible to check the chat from time to time to see if there are any questions in that regard. So moving on, let's take one more pair. Which pair should we take? We took the US oil, the US tech, we took the USD JPY, I guess, and we're already taking the GBP card. So can we take the Euro USD, or should we take the USD CHF? Which one should we take? Which one should we take? Which one should we take? Okay, let's take the USD CHF. So on the USD CHF, the first thing we want to be doing here is to get an holistic perspective of what is happening on this pair. So to do that, we want to scale up to the daily time frame to see what is happening on a higher perspective, after which we'll use that to decide how to trade the USD CHF this week. Well, on the daily time frame, we took a trade on this pair yesterday. I can remember we took a trade on this pair yesterday. We took about 200 pips. We took two trades, two positions on this one last week, and we took a bullish momentum, and we were able to enjoy about 100 to 150 pips on this one. And now going into the new week, what is going to be our plans? Well, on the higher time frame, it's been a strong bullish momentum since the beginning of the year, and I was able to identify this bullish trend line by connecting the series of higher lows here to identify that bullish trend line. We can see that is simple enough to identify. Then the next thing we did is to identify a key level at the 0.95700 area, which was rightfully done after identifying how this level has been a major determinant of price action in the past. We can see how price came into this area in the month of May to become a demand structure. Then in the month of June stroke July, we saw our price came into this area, rejected by the sellers to push price to the upside. And something happened during the month of July stroke August. We saw a breakdown retest of the structure to make that area a supply niche for participants in this market. And now, during the later part of the month of August, we saw a breakout of that neckline, that key level rather, which also shares a confluence with the bearish trend line we were able to identify here after connecting the series of lower highs here. So we saw the breakout retest of that bearish trend line, which also shares a confluence with the key level we identified at the 0.95700 area. So this is what we saw here, a breakout giving us a signal of a bullish momentum retest, then price continue to find higher highs. Now, in the last 3 days on this pair, something interesting is happening here. If we look closely into the structure here, we can see how the 0.98500 area has been a major supply niche for participants in this market. If we go to as far back as July, we can see how multiple rejection here became a selling niche for participants in this market. And right now, we can see how this area has been rejected, I think 3 times now. We saw the first one on Thursday. We saw the second one on Friday last week. And right now, um, today now we have seen an attempt by buyers to break through that level, which has been met with stiff resistance by the sellers. So right now, this area right now is a very sensitive level we want to look at for this week. So what we want to be doing now is to see how the participants are actually relating with this area to be able to determine if we are going to be seeing a breakout of the structure to give us a signal of a trend continuation to the upside, where a retest will give us further confirmation to join the rally. That is one scenario. Or is price going to respect the supply zone one more time with probably a reversal pattern here to send price crashing to the downside to retest the key level at the 0.95700 area. So these are the things we want to be looking at for this week, and to do that we'll scale down to a much lower time frame. So let's go to the 4 hours time frame. Let's see what we have on the 4 hours time frame. So on the 4 hours time frame, the first thing I was able to do was to identify this temporary bullish trend line after connecting the series of higher lows. Here we can see how price has consistently respected this bullish trend line since the beginning of last week. We saw how price, you see how it respected it. Anytime price comes there, it bounces off to the upside. We can see that. And now I showed you this setup here on the daily time frame, this multiple rejection of the 0.98500 area. So what I'm looking forward to is this: will this rejection push price to the downside? Will the strength of the sellers at this point be strong enough to send price crashing to the downside? Well, to answer that question, what I want to be looking forward to is a breakdown of this bullish trend line. So if I see a breakdown of this bullish trend line, which also shares a confluence with the key level I was able to identify at the 0.9800 level, which is going to be our yardstick for this week. If we see price break down this level, then we want to see this as a signal that we want to be going bearish. Now, if that signal happens, we don't want to get too excited, as we want to wait for price to come back and do a retest of either the 0.9800 level, or it could go as far as retesting that bullish trend line one more time, where we look out for patterns on lower time frame to join the decline to the downside. So this is how I intend taking a selling opportunity on the USD CHF. So if this does not happen, then we're going to be negating any selling opportunity on the USD CHF. Now, the other scenario we want to look at is this: will this bullish trend line be a yardstick for a bullish momentum this week? Well, the only way we want to be buying the USD CHF is if we see an outright breakout of the 0.98350 level, which I have identified with this purple line here. So if we see price take out all the selling position here, remember I told you we have a strength for selling opportunities around this area. So one thing I'm saying now is this: we want to look out for a signal. If price breaks out of that area that is taking out all the selling positions here, then we want to be seeing this as a signal. But remember, we are still within a supply zone which we identify on the daily time frame, remember? So if price breaks out the structure, we don't want to jump into the trade. We want to wait for confirmation, which is likely going to come in form of a retest of the 0.98350 level, which also shares a confluence with that bullish trend line we identified here on the 4 hours time frame, after which multiple rejection of that area or structures on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation will welcome an opportunity to join the rally to the upside. So going into the new week, I have identified 3 parameters to guide our action. The first one is the key level here, the 0.9800 level, where I told you we want to see a breakdown of that key level to give us a signal of a bearish momentum, where a retest of structure will give us a confirmation to join the decline. And then we have another level at the 0.98350 area that is going to be supporting or giving us a signal for bullish momentum. And also we have the bullish trend line also, which is going to also be our guide. So for the bullish momentum, like I said, we want to see a breakout of the 0.98500 area, taking out all the selling positions here. We don't get too excited at the sight of this breakout. We want to wait for price to give us further confirmation in the form of the retest of this level for any buy opportunity on this one. So for any bullish potential here, if that happens, we are looking at somewhere around the 1.00 level as a take profit target. And if a selling opportunity happens, we are looking at the 0.95700 area on a long-term perspective to take advantage of, to take our profit on this, on a selling position on the USD CHF. So this is what we are looking forward to for this week, and I think this is going to be the last pair we are going to be deliberating on. I think I have 2 more minutes to go, and before I go, let's quickly do a recap of what we have discussed so far. So the first pair we looked at today is the US oil, and what did we say is going to be happening on the US oil? Well, on the US oil, we were able to identify a double bottom structure, which is yet to be confirmed. Will only be confirmed when we see a breakout of the neckline at $89 level. We want to see something like this to happen, a breakout of the structure, after which a retest on lower time frame gives us a confirmation to join the rally to the upside. So that is the scenario we are looking forward to on the US oil. And then the other scenario for selling opportunity here is if we see an outright breakdown of the $85 level, which is the key level we're looking for, we identified on the higher time frame, after which a retest of structure gives us a confirmation to join the decline. So I'm still tending towards the bullish momentum on the US oil, considering the bullish trend line that has been respected and the $85 level, which we identified on the daily time frame, that has been holding price action in the last 4 to 5 weeks now. So let's see how price plays out. We'll come back here tomorrow to evaluate how how well this position has been. Then we moved on to talk about the US tech, where we saw our price has been consolidating within a phase. Hold on a second. Let me show you. So we saw our price has been consolidating between the $12,150 area and the $12,050 area since the beginning of this week. And we want to see this as a channel. And one thing I told you to do here is to remain patient and wait for signals to join any direction price might be going. So we have a channel here right now, and what we want to be looking forward to is a breakout or breakdown of the structure. So if we see price breakout of the structure to the upside, that we see a breakout of the $12,150 level. Hold on a second, let me identify that level for the sake of clarity. So we have the $12,150 level here, and then we have the $12,050 area around here. So this looks more like a bearish rectangular pattern, which from a technical perspective projects a bearish momentum, and that will only going to happen if we see a breakdown of that structure. So if we see a breakdown of the structure, which also shares a confluence with the key level at the $12,000 mark, then a retest of structure will give us further confirmation to join the decline. That is the first scenario. Then the second scenario is if we see price break out of this channel to the upside, that is breaks out of the $12,150 level, then we want to be patient to wait for price to come back into the structure to retest it. Look out for patterns on lower time frame to join the rally to the upside. So this is what we are looking forward to on the US tech. So let's be patient, be on standby to take advantage of that move when it finally happens. Then we went on to talk about the USD GBP card, which I'm looking forward to a bullish opportunity here, despite the fact that we are on a very strong long-term bearish momentum. And the reason why we are looking forward to a bullish momentum on the GBP card is simply because of the structure we cited here on the 1 hour time frame. You can see what happened since during the course of last week's trading session, how the 1.52700 level has rejected price action, and what we want to be seeing now is price to continue. We have seen this move to the downside, and we saw a double rejection of the 1.50500 area, which appears to have transposed into a double bottom structure. We saw the second test, we saw the breakout of the neckline at the 1.5100 level. And if you had missed the breakout retest on this lower time frame, then you want to be joining if price comes back to do a retest of this 1.5100 area. Then you look out for patterns on lower time frame to join the rally to the upside. So our take profit target remains around the 1.52700 area. It will be around the 1.52500 area and the 1.5300 area. And the reason why that is simply because if we look into the past, we can see how this level has been a major determinant of price action. We saw demand potential here, we saw hit here, and then price broke down the structure, retested to become a supply niche. So right now we want to see how price action is going to relate with this level. How we're going to be having a breakout of this area to give us a signal of a trend continuation to the upside, or are we going to be having a reversal pattern right again to respect this area one more time to push price to the downside? So time will tell in that regard, but in the meantime we place our take profit target around the zone and let's see how price will play out during the week. Then we move on to talk about the USD JPY, where I shared with you a couple of scenarios, even though I'm tending towards a bearish momentum, as I'm looking forward to price breaking down the 140.300 area, which also shares a confluence with the bullish trend line we identify here. If I cite this, then I want to be seeing it as a signal of a bearish momentum, after which I'll wait for price to give me a confirmation in the form of a retest on lower time frame to join the decline to the downside on this one. However, if the 140.300 gets rejected by the buyers and then we see something like this, then I want to be looking forward to buy position. Then I made a caveat on this one, that is, if price does not come down into the 140.300 area at any point in time this week and we saw a breakout of the 140.800 area, then we want to be seeing this as a signal of a bullish momentum. And if this happens, we want to remain patient and wait for price action to give us a confirmation in the form of a retest of that structure. So if a retest happens, it could be the retest of the 140.800, or it could come as far as retesting this bullish trend line or the 140.300 area identified here to join the rally to the upside. Then we moved on to talk about the, is it the Euros USD? Okay, the USD CHF, which was the last pair we deliberated on today. And on the in the USD CHF, we have a similar situation with what we identified on the USD JPY. We had this temporary bullish trend line on the 1 hour time frame, and we had a couple of levels to guide our action. So this levels is meant to make our job easier during the New York session today. So we have one at the 0.9800 level, and then we have another one at the 0.98350 level. Now, how does this help us? Now, remember we had this multiple rejection of the 0.98600 area, which happened during last week's trading session, giving us a clue into the strength of the sellers at this point in the market. And since then, since the beginning of the week, price is yet to break above that structure, which gives me an inclination towards selling the USD CHF for this week. So now, what I want to be looking forward to right now is that a breakdown of this bullish trend line, which also shares a confluence with the key level at the 0.9800 level. So if I see a breakdown of this area, then I want to be seeing it as a signal of a bearish momentum. Remember, we're not getting too excited at the sight of the signal. We want to wait for confirmations to happen in the form of a retest of this key level at the 0.9800 level. We see a retest of this level, probably a retest of this bullish trend line. Then we look out for patterns on lower time frame to join the decline. That is my selling perspective on this one. Now, is this bullish trend line going to be respected to push price to the upside? The bullish trend line we identify here, well, we can only know this bullish trend line is going to be respected to push price to the upside only if price breaks out of the 0.98350 level, taking out all the selling positions that we cited here. That is, if we break out, remember we are still within a supply zone on the higher time frame. So I want to see price break out of the structure significantly well. It could be an engulfing candle. It could even be two engulfing candles taking me out of the structure, and then I will be patient enough to wait for price to come back into the $0.98350 area, which also shares a confluence with the bullish trend line we were able to identify on the 1 hour time frame here, after which I look out for patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the upside. So this is what we are going to be looking forward to on the USD CHF. Let's see how price action plays out in the next 24 hours, and we will be coming back here to take a revisit of this pair and see how well we are doing. So this is when I will be calling it a day, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you for being around. I appreciate every moment I shared with you guys, and hope to see you same time tomorrow, 10 a.m. UTC, 11 a.m. West African time. Xtrend Speed Life app. Tell your friends to download the Xtrend Speed Life app so that they can be part of this family as we come together to look at the financial market and prepare ourselves against the New York session on a daily basis. So thank you for watching, and hoping to see you tomorrow, and best of luck during the New York session today. Bye bye.